Hello, welcome. I'm going to try to do another scenario here. Some folks have asked that they wanted to see more than one playthrough. So this is the other scenario I played during Arkham Nights. And I can tell you that this one is not as linear as the other one. There's some choices that you make in this one, and it goes in all kinds of crazy directions. But so that's why I chose this one. And I already have it set up. And I won't spend as much time on rules. I do promise I'm going to read the monster cards more because I know my number one missed rule was on those. And I also reduced myself to just one character. I thought that would make it simpler, although I think it takes away a lot of the interaction that the characters can have with each other. I'm not sure how much I'm going to like it with just one character, but we're going to go ahead and give it a try. So with that said, the scenario we're doing is Veil of Twilight. This was a very fun scenario when I did this, and I'm hoping you will find the same. The neighborhood looks different. It's oriented differently, obviously. But one thing I can tell you is that north side there only has one entrance. There's only one way in. And that was a huge problem for players because monsters and Doom kept spawning up there. And it's really hard to get to it, whereas every other location is more, it's easier to get to them. This scenario starts with a human thrall in the black cave, and then see that little white marker there? That is called a scar. I'm going to forget that term 100 times, but it's a scar, and the scar is very specific to this scenario. We don't know what it is, so we have to figure that out. That's part of our opening agenda. And I do have my cards in place. I think somebody commented that I had my back piece of wood backwards, and they were correct. It's supposed to be this way. So you can see that this is, you draw from the back for this, and you draw from the front for those, and you don't have to keep flipping it around. Anyways, small little things. And as far as the character I picked Calvin Wright. He seemed like a really good character to solo. He has equal health, 6 and 6. He's got 3s in every category except for Will. He only has a 1 there. So we do have to worry about his horror damage. And he's an interesting character. His special ability is you may exchange any amount of health and or sanity with another investigator or ally. And that's exchange. So it's not like you're healing anybody. You're just exchanging. So not a super powerful ability, but if he has allies or whatever, maybe, you know, if he's taking too much of this and not enough of that, he can at least balance himself out. He starts, no matter what, with Spirit Dagger, and I'll show it to you here. He gets +2 to his attacks and +2 to his wards, so I thought that was a good solo type character. He has a 3 in every skill except for Will, like I said, and then he's getting a +2 to 2 of the most used actions in the game. So if we ever need to clean up horror, or if we need to clean up some monsters, we can do both. So I thought that was a pretty cool solo type of start. And he also starts with this one, until the end of time, and this is a reckoning effect. He removes 1 damage and 1 horror from this card. So when he takes damage and horror, we can put it on this card instead of on him. And then during reckoning, he just heals 1 of each. It's pretty impressive. And then the choice. We get a choice with him. And the choice is we can choose to take this card or not. And if we take this card, sorry, I'm having a hard time holding it. You may suffer 1 horror to reroll any number of dice. And it says you can use this no more than once per roll, and you can use it even on your Dark Pact, because that's the choice you made, is if you accept this card, you're also accepting a Dark Pact. And we don't know what the other side of it is, but we made a deal with the devil, basically. And so, anyways, he's starting the game with the Dark Pact and Voice of the Messenger. And now, I've played this scenario before, and the fact that he's starting with a Dark Pact is going to be interesting, but I'm going to, we'll just see how it goes. Okay, so as far as our cards that we start with, we have anomalies again. This is just like before. It's the exact same card we had the last set of series. If there's 3 or more Doom in a space, or 5 or more Doom if there's 3 doom in a space or 5 doom in a neighborhood, an anomaly shows up. Exactly the same, nothing new there. But here's our new ones. We have threshold. You have heard numerous rumors about people and animals acting strangely in Arkham. Each new description is eerily similar to the last. Not an hour has passed since you were attacked by a flock of crazed pigeons and forced to take cover in Ma's boarding house. Now that the flock has moved on, it's time to take to the streets and figure out what's really happening in Arkham. So if we get 2 or more tokens on this scenario sheet, clues or doom, we flip this card. So this is token independent. It doesn't matter which kind of tokens. We're going to flip that after 2. And then this is lasting scars. The veil between the worlds grows thin. Something stirs beyond them, a presence lurking at the threshold of reality. Where it touches the world, it leaves a scar. A wound that reopens again and again. Left unchecked, these scars will tear the world apart. White markers are scars in the veil. After an anomaly appears, if there is not a scar in that neighborhood, place one in the neighborhood with the most doom in that neighborhood. Okay, so every time an anomaly shows up, we're adding another scar. Okay, so our first objective, of course, is just to get 2. 2-1. And, oh, I just forgot an important setup step. We have to draw 3 clues and then a starting doom. And spread doom once. So let's do that. So we'll do the 3 clues first. First clue is going into Riverside. Second clue is going to go into North Side. And the third clue is going to go into North Side. So 2 in the North Side and 1 in Riverside. I'm going to do that right now. Or Rivertown, I meant to say. So I'll show you the setup in a second. I'm just shuffling cards real quick. Okay, and then we're going to do 1 doom, which is going to be at the Miskatonic University, the observatory. Okay, so let me get that out, and then I'll show you how it's set up. Okay, so let's go over the zones. We have the South Side, which is new. Ma's boarding house is where we start, and it's basically pay money to heal, health. Here we can spend remnants or money to get curio items or allies. And then here's where we can cure psychological damage, horror. And the hospital, again, is another healing place. The magic shop is straight up cash for spells. Hangman's Hill looks like a couple of attribute tests to get items or remnants. And then the science building is remnants for cash. Lore for spells at the library, or lore and observation for a unique item or remnants. So the observatory has some unique items there. And then Rivertown is just like before. We did that one already. And we also did Northside already in the last game. So 3 new sections, or 3 new neighborhoods, and then 2 familiar ones. The clues are all the way up in that area that's, like I said, is hard to get, and there's a monster in between us and those clues. So we might be doing some battling early on. And in a solo game, I think that battling is going to be problematic because I do like 2 players in this. One to do the fighting and the other to progress the game. So we'll see how this plays out. Okay. Without further ado, I think we are ready to start now. And so we have 2 actions. And so here's our situation. We're here. We could stay to remove that one doom. I don't know how valuable that is. So we do have a monster up there. We can get aggressive and try to kill it right away. Let's take a look at it real quick. It's a hunter, so it's going to move towards us, but it only moves 2 spaces, unlike that other one that could seem to move anywhere. And then after the monster attacks, we become cursed. So we have to be careful there. Now, one thing we know is that this monster, if it moves 2 spaces, it's just going to go to the street here. And so we could encounter it in the street. It has 2 health. And part of me wants to just kill it. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3 with our move action. And then engage it with an attack. I think this one engages automatically. Yes, it does. One thing to check for is there was a word elusive. The elusive ones don't engage you. You can walk right by them. But this isn't one of them. I made that mistake in my last set of videos. Thank you to the person who caught that. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to kill this right away. My logic is we're going to kill it right away. And if we can, then we'll do an encounter at the Black Cave and we might get our first clue, is what I was trying to say. So that's my goal here. And let's see if we can succeed at it. So there's no penalty to anything. And our strength is 3. And then this gives me a +2. So we got 5. So we're going to do 5. 5 dice. I have 4 here. I know I actually have 5, but we'll just roll 4 for now. And there's 2 successes right there. 3 actually. So we more than killed this thing. So the hulking thrall is dead, and you can see we get a remnant, which is good. Getting a remnant right away is always good because you might be able to exchange those later. And I think that's all we get as far as cash and prizes. So that one is already done, and we move on to the monster phase. There are no monsters, so we now move to the encounter phase. So we're going to draw a Rivertown card. Black Cave. Spurs of rock surround the passageway like a toothy maul. You steel yourself to enter will. That's the thing we only have 1 of. If you pass, okay, let's test our will. We only have 1 will. So this is the only skill that we stink at. And look at that. Oh my gosh. All right, if you pass, you discover wax and chalk markings that suggest a ritual was held here, and find something that was left behind. You gain 1 curio item. If you fail, you retreat in fear. You suffer 1 horror. Okay, so good thing we didn't fail. We do pass. I'm just off camera here putting things back in the deck. And I realized I forgot to set up my, there's supposed to be 5 items out on display. So let's do that right now. And I need to find a spot for these. We'll go over here where the monsters are. So item 1 is Grimm's Fairy Tale. An investigator ally in your space recovers 1 sanity. It's an action, so it just heals you. 45 automatic. Well, you can't complain about those. Get +3. Our dagger is a one-handed weapon, so we could actually use 2 one-handed weapons. Bulletproof vest. Once per round, if 2 or more damage would be dealt to this card, prevent 1. Oh, that's pretty good. And silver key. Once per round, you may re-roll any number of dice while resolving lore or observation checks. That's got a 6 on it. Holy buckets. And then I think 1 more. We're supposed to have 5. 45 Thompson. You get +5, and that's a 2-handed weapon. Strength is part of an attack action. Okay, so our reward was what again? Our reward was you gain 1 curio item. So we can take any item that says curio on it. So I can't take the 45 automatic, I can't take the bulletproof vest, but I can take this silver key. I like it. It's first of all, it's $6, so it's a pretty powerful item. And then we get to reroll any number of dice while resolving lore and observation tests. I think that's getting that early in the game like this is gonna be huge. So let's replenish it. There's a first aid kit going out now. Okay, I think that was an awesome encounter phase, even though we didn't get a clue. And now we go to the Mythos phase. The Mythos cup, by the way, is identical to the last scenario. There's not a single change. So if you're familiar with the last video series, or first scenario we did, it's going to be identical. Now the one thing, of course, is since we're only doing 1 player, we're only drawing 2 of these, and that's it for this round. And here's the 2 I drew. So we're going to put a doom and then nothing. So drawing our doom card. It's another Miskatonic University card, and it's going to be going onto the observatory. So we'll grab a doom here, and the observatory just got a second doom. So that's problematic. And we don't want to get anomalies because that's going to cause more scars. So this is the dilemma with this game. You can be chasing down wards, right? Getting rid of those doom tokens, but then there's only one pathway into where the clues are. Yeah, I'm already not liking solo. I probably wanted to start 2 characters, but that's okay. I'm going to whine about that the whole game. I'm sorry. Okay, so it's back to our turn, and I'm thinking about it, and I think I have to go to the university, get rid of those 2 doom tokens. I don't think there's a different choice I should make. The one advantage, of course, of being solo is we're drawing only 2 of those Mythos Cup tokens, so hopefully I can outpace the growth. So there's not going to be any monsters, no monster phase, so we're going to just do a 1-2. So we're going to move there, and then I'm going to do a ward action. And just a refresher, we have 3 lore, and we're going to get 2 more, so that's 5. And I would like to focus some stuff here. I get to do 2 focuses, but for now, we're going to do 5. And remember, I get to re-roll any number of dice. All right, so that's 4 of our dice, and then this is the 5th one. We missed all of them, so I'm going to go ahead once per round. I can re-roll a lore test, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Look at that, 4 more misses, and I missed with 10 dice. My goodness. Okay, what a bad start. All right, so now we do an observatory or Miskatonic U encounter. We're at the observatory. A group of students find you, waving a set of photographs from the telescope. You know, weird stuff they say. What do you think? Test lore. Now remember, we're not going to get to re-roll our lore tests because it was only once per round. All right, so there's 1 success, what we were looking for before. I don't think I need to keep rolling. I just needed to pass once. If you pass, you recognize the batwing shape of the fungi from Yugoth. You gain 1 remnant. All right, we get another remnant. Not sure if those are going to help us yet. And let's do our tokens. So I'm drawing 2, and I'm going to put out a clue and a monster. Monster stinks. All right, so let's do the clue first. Clue is going into Uptown. And we're going to just draw top 2 cards, shuffle it in. All right, and then we're going to draw from the monster deck. By the way, there's 2 monster decks. There's a lodge deck, which is not used yet. It's just set aside, and then this is the primary deck. It has a whole bunch of thralls in it. And these, it has Whisper Wills or something like that, and then Altered Beasts is the other one. So it spawns at the most doom. So it's going to spawn right where we are, and it's got a patrol here, and so it's going to engage us right away. So we're engaged right now. So it's our turn because it's spawning right in our location. Well, I guess we're staying here for another turn. So the good news is he only has 1 hit point. So pretty easy stuff. We're going to get another remnant if we kill him. So let's give it a try. I'm going to... Yeah, we're just going to attack it. And we're going to get 3 strength plus 2 is 5. So we're going to roll 5 dice. Let's hope we did better than that lore check. Oh, 4 misses. Oh my goodness. There it is. 1 hit. That's all I needed. Okay, so we killed the Altered Beast. And I'm going to get a remnant for reward. And then we're going to do a ward again. We're going to get rid of those wards, or those doom tokens. So there's 4. We missed again. And we got 1 more die. And that's a miss, so I'm gonna re-roll all the dice. I'm using my silver key. And there it is, 2 of them. So we're gonna remove 2 ward. And I get another remnant. I am sitting on 4 remnants. Okay, well, it's the end of my turn. Monster phase, there's nothing. And so now we're going to do observatory again. There's Venus right where she should be. And a few degrees further, test observation. So our observation is 3. And we would normally get to re-roll with the silver key, but we used it already, so we're going to do 3 dice here. And we failed. Calculations don't add up, we grow frustrated, and we become delayed. Yay. All right, so we're delayed. That doesn't help. Okay, I'm gonna draw our Mythos. Blink and gate burst. The gate burst is nasty, and it's going to be on the north side. So the north side is where all the fun things are happening. That's up here. So with the gate burst, we now have 4 tokens, and we're almost getting ready to have a anomaly there. But on our turn, all we can do is stand up. That's one action. And then the other action is we can at least move into the black cave. But I can actually, I'm thinking of spending $2 to move 2 more. I'm not sure I see an advantage to it at this point. I don't. Because it's not like I can remove ward this, I can't remove doom tokens this turn. So I'm just gonna stay where it is and keep my money. So we're going to stop at the Black Cave, and there's no monster phase, so now we're going to do Riverside, or Rivertown, apology. So, it's the clue. So we're at the Black Cave. A group of robed figures perform a profane ritual, and glowing spheres begin to fill the cave. You gain 1 clue from your neighborhood. All right, we get the clue no matter what. That part's awesome. All right, let's keep going. The spheres whispered to you. Oh, we gotta test the will again. Okay, I need to get that focused. All right, testing will. I failed. We would have gained a spell. Okay, so nothing happens there, but that was a success. So we got our clue, and now we go to the Mythos phase. We're gonna generate a doom and a monster. Okay, the monster stinks. First, let's do the doom. The doom is going in north side, so that's bad news. Arkham advertiser. So it's gonna go here, and this is gonna happen, and then we get a scar, and I'm gonna say the scar's there. The scar goes wherever the most doom is, so we get to choose if there's a tie. So that was very bad. Not a good start. Okay, so, and then on top of it, we're spawning a monster. So let's see what that gives us. It's another altered beast. And I'm assuming he says the same thing as the other one. Spawn at the most doom. So I guess we're gonna have all kinds of fun up there. It's now our turn. We get to do 2 actions, so my first one will be move, my second one will be attack. Okay, we got 5 dice. We get to roll. Here's 4 of them. There's 2 successes already. I don't even need to keep rolling. So I killed it, which is good. But that's our whole turn. So now we go to the monster phase. Nothing happens. And now we have to draw from the this deck. And by the way, with this scenario, we actually have a different deck. So this deck says Fractured Reality on the top. So we have a whole new deck. We have 2 Doom in our space. Independent of your control, one of your hands begins writing and drawing abominable things. You suffer 2 horror. Let me take care of that right now. I'm putting those on my Until the End of Time card. When you regain control again, you burn the worst of the results and catalog the rest. You remove 2 Doom from your space and gain 1 Remnant. All right, so we are now up to 5 Remnant. If that was the goal in the game, we would be winning. Removing the 2 Doom was awesome. And that's it. So there was no actual test on that one. That was interesting. And now we do the Mythos phase. And we have a clue and a headline. So that was at least a nice respite for the clue. Clue is going to show up in Southside. So taking care of that off camera real quick. Shuffle, shuffle. And then we're going to grab, oh, I forgot to create my newspaper deck. So let's do that. Remember, the rule is 13. There's quite a few cards total in the game, so you're not always going to get the same ones. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right, so I'm going to keep this deck over here. I'm just going to put it here, like so. All right, so the first one, Magician vanishes, rabbit self. Full manhunt for the magnificent Manfred underway. 7 white doves also missing, foul play suspected. Headline, you disengage all monsters and move to the unstable space. The monsters are not exhausted. They engage another investigator in their space. Well, there's no monsters, so I get to move to the unstable space. So the unstable space is Arkham Advertiser. And you can tell just by looking at the top card. It's the top discard. So that's the last one we drew, right? So I don't think it's an optional thing. I think you have to move. And in our case, that actually helped us. That saved us an action. So we're grateful for that. And then, of course, our other clue was here. So it's our turn, and we get to do 2 actions. So I'm going to put this down here so you can see. I think the first thing we want to do is just start cleaning up those tokens. So we're going to do a ward action. I'm thinking I also want to do either a gather or a... See, the gather isn't very powerful with this guy because he doesn't have like the Ashcan Pete stuff. So I think what we want to do is focus. And I'm going to focus my weakest skill first. I only get to have 2 focus, by the way. So there's only going to be 1 more I can take after this. I think I'm going to be doing will and then maybe strength or lore, one of those 2. Probably strength because I get to re-roll lore. But yes, so that's my first action. And then my second action is we're going to try to get rid of those 2 Doom tokens there. So here's 4 of the dice. All right, so I see 1 success. And let's get the 5th one. All right, so I can re-roll again to remove the other one. I don't know if I want to. Yeah, I'll go ahead and do it. So that means we're re-rolling everything but that 1 success. So there's 3 of them. Yeah, I'm not going to count the one that got bumped. Okay, and then since I seem to be having a magical number of 5, I will add 1 more die to this pool so we don't have the insanity of having to roll 1 extra die. Okay, so I was only able to get 1, even with a reroll, which is awful. But here's what I'm going to do. This card says you may suffer one horror to re-roll any number of dice. So I'm going to go ahead and take one. And we're going to go again with 4 more dice. Because that one was a success. So we're keeping that one. And there it is. There's our next one right there. I really want to get rid of these Doom. So I got rid of 2 of them. And now there's only 1 left in the neighborhood. But unfortunately, so no monster phase. When we do the encounter, we still have to do this. But we will be doing this one at the top. Lights flicker and pop briefly before every electrical device stops working. Repairs will be costly, but once the lights are restored, you see where the arcane forces broke through the barriers between worlds. You may spend $1 to remove 1 Doom token from any space in your neighborhood. Well, I just so happen to have $3, so I'm going to spend 1. And we will remove the last Doom from our neighborhood. So I already removed the Doom, and so that means the anomaly goes away. So we're in great shape now. So there happens to be 2 clue tokens there, so we might spend some time there. But we have to do the Mythos phase first. And it's a reckoning and a newspaper. So let's do the reckoning first. The reckoning for Veil of Twilight says, place a Doom token in any space with a scar. We happen to have we have 2 scars. So a Doom token goes here, and had I not removed that last Doom token, this would have gone on the scenario sheet. But there we go, there's the situation. And then we have to do the Dark Pact. So that's just roll 1 die and don't get a 1. As long as we get anything other than a 1, there's a 2, so we're fine. Okay, and I think that's it for the Reckoning. Oh, 1 more Reckoning effect. I get to remove 1 damage and 1 horror from this card. So that card removed 1. I do have this here, and I may have to get rid of that some other way. But okay, so it gets back to us. It's time to... oh, I'm sorry, we forgot the newspaper. Miskatonic U Observatory, oh, here, sorry, I wasn't paying attention to the camera. Findings baffling. Stars not where they should be. Astrologers have the answers. Is it a global issue? We've seen this one before. For each spell you have, you suffer 1 horror unless you discard that spell. I don't have any spells, which is pretty cool. So we get to ignore that. Okay, it's back to us. Looking at the situation up there, I think, given the 2 clues, I guess I could move and remove that that Doom, but I actually want to focus because I want to get this up. And so I am going to focus, and let's get our strength up, because I think the strength is going to be something we're going to need. And then for the other action, I could do a gather and get $1. But I actually think I'm going to try to get this clue on. I'm going to research that clue. So I have 3 observation, and that I do get to reroll on observation checks. So let's come over here and do 3. And there we go. There's a pass. That's all I needed, was just 1. So we now have 1 clue on the scenario sheet. 1 clue has been added. And if we ever get a second of anything on there, we get to flip this 1 card. So that's what we're looking for here. So those are our 2 actions. There's no monsters. And so now we're going to draw an encounter here in the north side. And we are at Arkham Advertisers. The people of Arkham need to know they're in danger, Minnie Klein tells you, but Doyle won't run the story without proof. You may spend 1 remnant to make sure her article is published. If you do, those whose lives are saved remember you in their thoughts and prayers. You become blessed. Well, we happen to have a whole bunch of remnants, and that's actually one of the reasons I stayed in that location, because it showed that there's a opportunity to sell remnants, and we happen to have 5 of these. So I'm going to do that, And we're going to get a blessed card. And I don't think there's any difference between them. Sometimes you flip them over, but in this case, so when we resolve 4, 5s, and 6s, so normally it's 5s and 6s, but now the 4s count. So I think that's going to help us. Okay, so we didn't get a clue, but I still think that was a good outcome. And now we move to the Mythos step, and it's the last 2 in the cup. So the last 2 in the cup is a doom and a blank. So we're going to repopulate the whole cup. We've already done 7 turns. Isn't that crazy? All right, so the doom is going on the train station. So that is up in the same neighborhood we were just in. Now, one minor rule I just realized I didn't, somewhere in here was the gate burst. I was supposed to reshuffle and put them back on, but that gate burst was really early in the game. It would only have been like the first 2. But I'm just gonna let it be. I'm just explaining. If some of you happen to have caught that I forgot to shuffle those back in, but it wasn't this whole deck of cards. There was no way. The gate burst came out early. Okay, anyways, it's back to us. Now I'm going to move and do a ward because I don't want another anomaly to show up. So I'm going to move and let's do a ward there, which will be 5 dice. And I see 1 success, just 1. All right, so we removed 1 of them. It's better than nothing. Do I want to re-roll? My answer is yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and re-roll these 4. And there's the other one. All right, well, since I removed 2, I get that remnant back. So I'm back up to 5 of them. And there are no monsters. So now I'm going to go to north side. We are at the train station this time. An improbable train arrives, and an improbable being disembarks and approaches you. So we have to test our will, which stinks, but we now get to roll 2 dice because we put a focus in our will. And we got lucky. Whew. If you pass, you keep your calm as the being speaks an alien tongue and hands you something. You gain 1 common item and 1 clue from your neighborhood. All right, well, that was awesome. So, well, let me grab the clue first because that's the easy one. So we got another clue. And then the common item is what I'm most excited about. That's everything here. Obviously, we can draw from the top of the deck, but these are some pretty nice items. So we got this bulletproof vest, which absorbs 4 health. I'm liking that 45 automatic because that gives us +3 attack, and then maybe we can focus something else, like our observation. This one, for an action, we can just heal 1 horror. That's not bad either. It's just, I don't like the idea of spending actions. I don't like the Thompson because that's a 2-hander, and our knife gives us a bonus to our ward. So I think I'm going to go with this. Let's make sure that we can handle any monster that they throw at us. And our next card that comes out is a Derringer. It's pretty neat. Okay, so very happy with that outcome. And now we're going to draw our 2 Mythos. And look at that, 2 blanks. What a wonderful round. All right, so it's back to our actions. We still have another clue here. So what I think I'm going to do is, and I realized something. I forgot to, since I was blessed, I may have actually not needed to do a reroll last time. Gotta remember to count those. Okay, so what I'm thinking is I don't need this anymore. So I want to stay in my neighborhood because I want to get the last clue. So what I'm going to do is focus again to get rid of this one, and we're going to grab an observation instead. And then I'm going to do that observation to do this. So we're going to roll 4 dice. All right, I saw a success and it bumped, but these two are successes now because of our blessed ability. So we had 3 successes. I only had 1 of these, so it's going on. We put it on the scenario, and now we go to this card. So we get to flip the card if there's 2 or more tokens, either one. All right, with every moonrise, the veil grows weaker. Reality bleeds at the threshold, people and places falling through the cracks into the void between worlds. And beyond the veil, the voice of the lurker at the threshold grows ever stronger. The Silver Twilight Lodge are as interested in these scars in reality as you. They meet in secret, burning incense and chanting in dead tongues. But are they allies or servants of the lurker? A letter comes from Carl Sanford, proposing an alliance. You have discovered a means of mending the scars in the veil. Flip card 21 before continuing. All right, so the tears in reality are not natural, nor is the remedy. Magic is the answer. Arcane rituals unique to the particulars of the scar. With diligence and hard work, you can repair your wounded reality and perhaps keep the lurker at the threshold at bay. White markers are scars in a veil. After an anomaly appears, if there's not, okay, blah, blah, blah. Action. You may spend 2 clues from the scenario sheet to mend a scar in your space. Flip it face down. A mended scar does not cause doom during reckoning. Okay? So we can spend 2 clues to close or mend those scars. And now we're going to continue. Any investigator may gain a dark pact to join the Silver Twilight Lodge. If you join, cards 24 and 25 get added to the codex. But you have to gain a dark pact to join the lodge. If no investigator joins, Carl Sanford declares you an enemy of the lodge, and then the lodge monsters get shuffled into the deck. And we add 1 monster and 1 gate burst token to the Mythos cup and add card 22 to the codex. Whether or not you join, this card goes away. Okay, I can tell you definitively that the one and only time I played this, I took a dark pact personally. And if it was a 6-player game, and players individually get to decide if they take a dark pact or not. So, because it says any investigator. So 3 of us joined with the dark pact and 3 of us did not. I'm not going to spoil you on what happens. I'm just telling you that that's what we did in my scenario. I honestly don't know what I want to do this time around, but this is where the choose your own adventure part of the game really kicks in, because this takes you in a whole different path. It's just an amazing thing when you start working with this Carl guy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to refuse. And he's going to declare me an enemy, and these lodge monsters will get added to the deck. We're going to spawn a monster, and then add a gate burst to the Mythos cup, and then card 22. So I'm going to take it a different way, and I'll let you guys discover what happens if you join. And the only thing I'll tell you is that the players who take the dark pact versus the players who don't, it could possibly lead to different results for them as well. So it's a very, very interesting game. This is a very fun scenario. So let's see what happens if we... so this card's going back. Number 20. So that goes back, and it says we're going to get 22. So we're going at it alone. You're not certain what exactly the Silver Twilight Lodge hopes to accomplish with their arcane rites, but it's obvious that their allegiance lies with the so-called lurker at the threshold. You'll have no part of it, but without access to the lodge's knowledge, you're still half in the dark. When a scar is mended for the first time, flip this card and read the Eureka Moment effect. And then when there's 6 or more doom on the scenario, flip this card and read the Kraken reality effect. Okay, so we're gonna do that. First, I have to mix in. So I'm gonna mix in all the lodge monsters with the other ones. So the lodge is now not happy with us. And then while I'm doing that, I'm gonna reach over. We're gonna grab a gate burst. And unfortunately, we now have an uneven number of tokens. So I'm always gonna have to draw the last one and then shuffle them all back in. Gate bursts aren't fun, but we can handle it, I think. All right, and then we're gonna draw, so we get a whippoorwill. This, by the way, was one of the monsters that were already in the deck. It's gonna spawn in an unstable space, and it just moves towards and engages the nearest investigator. It only moves 1 space. It's a watcher, meaning it moves with you. If you engage it, it doesn't restrict your actions or encounters, so you can still do encounters and stuff. But what a watcher does is, that's funny because it's a hunter, but then you roll 1 fewer die when resolving tests. I guess that's whenever you're engaged with it, this happens, whereas that's happening. Okay, all right. So anyways, this is gonna go in the unstable space, which is still, it's actually the train station. So it's going right where we're at. So it's right at our location, but it's not engaged with us because it's, well, hold on. It's engaged with us, yes. It's going to engage with us, but it doesn't restrict us. So we can actually walk around with this little pet following us if we wanted, but see, he doesn't actually do any damage to you. All he does is cause you to roll 1 fewer die when resolving tests. So you can walk around with him for quite a while. That's interesting. Sorry, I'm not familiar with all the monsters, so they're always brand new for me when I encounter them. Okay, so we did all that, and now we're actually going to do our Mythos Cup, because that was their encounter, I believe, wasn't it? No. That was our action. Okay, so now we do monster phase. Well, there's nothing that happens there. And now we're going to draw an encounter, and we're at the train station. So we're going to grab a north side train station. A passing traveler presses something into your hands. You gain 1 common item. Sweet. You stop the traveler and ask for an explanation. All right, let's grab our common item real quick, because I believe we get the common item before we actually do our testing. All right, so we have this bulletproof vest, which I think is awesome, but I think horror is our bigger enemy right now. So we're gonna grab this, so we can always heal 1 horror anytime we want. It just costs an action. And dynamite comes out. That's pretty good. All right, continue. So now we're gonna have to do negotiation. If you pass, you gain a clue. So nothing happens if we fail. So our negotiation is 3, by the way. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. So 3 dice. And there we go, there's a pass. Well done. Oh, we only get to roll 2 dice. So technically speaking, I passed anyways, but I'm gonna just roll 2. There we go, I passed. All right, sorry, lost my train of thought. Oh, we got the clue. So clue is in our hand, and now we're gonna do the Mythos Cup. All right, so a Doom comes out and another monster. All right, so let's do the Doom first. The Doom is going to the graveyard. So there's now 2 of them on the graveyard. And then we're gonna spawn our monster, which is a lodge guy. Simon Carter. Spawn at a street nearest the leader. And he's a lurker, meaning that he's not gonna he's gonna stay there and he's not gonna pursue you. He places 1 doom in the adjacent space with the most doom. And he has extra health to boot. So lurkers will do this effect on you until you engage them. And then once you engage them, then they no longer do that thing that was on the front. But anyways, they're on the street right next to us. So we have a lot of work to do. Okay, it is our turn. And I think for action 1, I am going to spend these 2 clues. And we're going to close or mend that scar. Okay? And it says, when a scar is mended for the first time, flip this card and read the Eureka moment. So we're going to do that right now. Eureka. Success. You pit your feeble understanding of the arcane against the unfathomable terror of the being in the void and come away the victor. Still, the more you dabble in the arcane, the more the lurker's power flows. Choose 2 neighborhoods that do not contain scars or mended scars. Place a scar in any space of each of these neighborhoods. Then add 23 to the codex and return this card to the archive. So let me grab 23 first. And then before I forget, we need to add 2 scars. So we get to pick the neighborhoods. I don't know what advantage there is to picking one over the other, but I'm gonna pick South Side. And let's just keep them near each other, right? St. Mary's Hospital. Those are 2 neighborhoods that didn't have one. Okay, some progress. Sealing the breach has returned some normalcy to the area, but Arkham is still far from stable. The other scars must be mended before they become larger and further threaten the safety of Arkham. When 3 or more scars have been mended, flip this card and read the way is closed effect. Or if there's 8 or more doom, then the come undone happens. So, that's it for now. I can already tell you that if we picked the other route and joined up with the lodge, when we mend these scars, it causes something to happen with your relationship with the lodge. And it's already going in a very different direction. So very, very cool. Well done with that, FFG. Okay, that was our first action. And our second one is a difficult one. I think what we want to do is just attack this for now, and then we'll deal with the lurker one next. I think that's what we want to do. So let's go ahead and deal with this one. We're going to roll 1 less die, but I get to roll 3, 4, 5. I get to roll 8 dice now because I have the Spirit Dagger and a 45 automatic now. And there's 1, 2, 3 hits already. So the whippoorwill is done for. So that's fine. And that's the end of our actions. So now we go to the monster phase, and that lodge character is going to cause a doom to appear in Black Cave, and now I have 4 in Rivertown, which is not good. I may have made the wrong choice. So now I'm going to do a train station. Bill Washington finishes loading his truck and pulls away, but some luggage falls off the back. You move to claim it for yourself. So we're going to roll 3 negotiation, 3 handshake. And there was 2 successes there. So if you pass, your act is convincing and no one questions who it belongs to. Gain the abandoned luggage. Interesting. So just putting the card away and the abandoned luggage. Oh, my worst nightmare is that I passed it and you guys are all screaming. There we go. I found it. All right. When you gain this card from the deck, place the top 2 cards of the item deck face down under this card. Action. Test. Observation -1. If you pass, you gain these items and discard this card. So, top 2 cards of the item deck. Okay, so that's these green cards. So, not looking at them. I'm going to put them underneath. And so now we have a fun little action to open up our luggage here. Okay. So there's so much to do. First of all, Mythos cup though. And we get a doom and a newspaper. That doom could be very bad. Okay, it's south side, so that's not too bad. Ma's boarding house, that is bad. Ma's boarding house already has one, now it has 2. So we just put one there. And then the newspaper. Wild animal attacks Spike. Headline, choose one non-epic monster in any space. You suffer damage equal to that monster's remaining health, then you defeat it. Ooh. Okay, well, the lurker dies, because that's the only monster left. Its health, though, is 3. So I'm taking 3 damage. I'm going to put 2 of it on the end of time, and then 1 on me. But the cool thing is this monster is dead, and that's one less thing we have to worry about next turn. I don't know. That's actually a pretty good exchange. So now it's our turn again. We're at 57 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and stop it, and I will start another video in a few seconds.